because we run up against trying to get all the minutes and the notes and, you know, plus any committee meetings that happen. That's all got to kind of come together with the package. And we're trying to get Suzanne's seasonal help, but it's all hands on deck. But as long as it's not 3 or 4 weeks, it'd be better. So we could certainly do that, I think.
I'm good with where it's at. I don't want to cause a bunch of work for someone or issues with our time schedule, but I just wanted to see if it was possible.
What's the pleasure of the commission? You can make the motion if you want to do.
Why don't you make the motion? We'll go with it.
I move to approve as recommended by the department.
We have a motion to go with the meeting schedule as recommended by the department in a second. Do we have any questions on it? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All for the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Is that okay? Get it? Okay, let's go to next item on the agenda is workshop informational, Commission General Regulation 368. Bob Haughian.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bob Haughian from the Operations Division, Chief of. This summer you saw the success that Don Sefton and Monty had with getting the big game draw results on the web within 48 hours after the draw. And so what we're going to do today and tomorrow is memorialize that in regulation. In your handout, you have a single page on this, and I handed out a copy of the same thing, but this one is in color to make it a little easier to read. And a couple of things. We had submitted this to LCB, a choice of words. They came back with the blue text that's on here. And there were some not technicalities, but a concern to be more precise and accurate and avoid confusion. We recognized, and Don Sefton recognized, that we really wanted to see some refinement to the language there. So let me just point out the item in blue, to include the item in blue that struck out, came back from LCB. And we, for the purpose of this meeting here today, we're taking it to the next step. We're going to submit back with your approval based on the results of this commission meeting. The refinement here, and that's in the green, and we just wanted to be very specific on the timing of this, because the way it read, the concern was that it may have been perceived that the results would have, in a sense, been posted the day after the draw, and we wanted to make it very clear that it would be 48 hours after the conclusion of the draw, and that the clock would start, that 48-hour clock would start at 5 p.m. the day of the draw. So now, as we did this summer, it's Monty's intention and Don's intention to do the draw no later than a Wednesday, and have the 48-hour acknowledgement meet that requirement by 5 o'clock Friday. Of course, if they elect to do the draw a little earlier, it would still be within the confines of the 48 hours. So this is the workshop piece. Tomorrow would be the approval piece, but in a sense, it's that simple. Correct. I think, Monty, can you correct us here or correct me? I think you were very close to the 48-hour point, right?
We met the 48-hour timeline on each draw we've had since we started with the big game draw this year. We just wanted to be very. The only concern was we didn't want someone to construe the time as actually being 24 hours from the time of the draw. We wanted to make absolutely sure.
Excuse me, are you happy with this new language then, Monty?
Yes, we had some hands in it, and
because I think they had it online by 3 o'clock and they had till 5 o'clock to do it, and they did it early online. It was online earlier than what the deadline was, I do believe.
Yeah, well, you know,
good job.
It would be our intention to never wait till straight up 5 o'clock. The last thing I need is a problem when I turn it on to find out there's a problem there. I want to have a little bit of leeway. But we used every bit of for the most part, we used every bit of 2 days to get ready to do that for a big game.
Yeah, Bob, I'd just like to say that this is probably the one thing I've heard more comments on and compliments on than anything I've heard for years from sportsmen. Great program. Commissioner Rain.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One question I had about this language in green is the language in blue said not later than. The language in green implies that you won't give it out earlier.
Well, if you'll look in the blue, the first blue line, at the end of it, it says administered by or on. So that gives the leeway to...
By or on behalf of the department, but not about time.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I think the way we all interpret this is it'll be done within the 48 hours. It could certainly be done prior to the 48 hours.
And
See, the way it was reading in the struck out portion, there were a number of people who looked at this on staff, just as we did kind of a test on some rookies to be looking at this, and some perceived that this could have actually been the day after, and we just wanted to make sure that it was within 48 hours from the draw date, and we're specifying that draw period, that 48-hour clock starts at 5 o'clock the day of the draw.
well, was there a reason why it would not state results for tags and permits not later than 48 hours after the draw, or this because the way this is looking, it's saying exactly 48 hours. I don't know if there's a legal and would they be in violation of this if they turned it in at 47 hours? The way it's written in green, it kind of implies that. Although I don't think anybody complained, but there's a couple legal people here. Perhaps they could look at that.
Well, considering this is a workshop, I mean, we could certainly address that to allow that on or before choice of words.
You can apply till
the
5 o'clock.
Pardon me?
You can apply till 5 p.m. of the deadline. And the intent was, you know, they got 48 hours from the deadline, and that's what this says.
Well, this isn't the deadline. This is from the draw.
From the draw, yeah.
Recall that. That's from the
Yeah,
draw.
I meant the draw.
So on the day of the draw, the 48-hour clock starts at 5 p.m. I guess I see Commissioner Rain's point of view here. What you're trying to assure is we're not held to a strict viewpoint on the other side of this, meaning it's got to be at 48 hours. So,
Commissioner Cavan, do you?
pardon me.
Yeah, my question, maybe it's for Monty. When you're talking about limiting yourself to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on the drawing, is that just because if you did it on Friday, you'd have overtime issues and that sort of thing? Or I don't think we want to limit ourselves to that, but I'm assuming you're kind of limiting yourself out loud for that reason. Is that correct?
Correct. I want to make sure, I need to make sure I have all of my resources available to make that 48-hour deadline when it comes to the main draw, so I do not want to pay necessarily overtime and try to convince everybody I need to make sure that they're all there over the weekend so I can make a Saturday or a Sunday display of those results.
But we wouldn't be eliminating that possibility if...
It could happen. There's no technical reason.
Okay, thank you.
Monty, another point on here, it doesn't say the main draw or the secondary draw, it just says the draw.
This is for the draws, correct?
It says singular. So does this mean for both draws then?
This applies to all of the draws.
All the draws.
I mean, the focus has obviously been the big game draw. That was the one
Right.
of greatest interest to the public, but...
Okay. Commissioner McBeth.
To address Scott's point, I would suggest that we add the word within after permits, but before 48, the number 48. So it would basically read The department shall post on the internet website that is operated and administered by or on behalf of the department the computerized lists of draw results for tags and permits within 48 hours after the draw. One word.
That's exactly what I had written on my sheet of paper. Good eyes. Oh.
You have a legal mind.
Anybody have any question on that? Commissioner Capurro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question goes to the, and I know that the LCB is awful slow. So it's on. Whether it's working or, well,
There it is.
geez, I got to lean that far over. Okay, I realize, because of course I represented the trucking industry for years, and we had all sorts of different regulations that were proposed. So we know that LCB is slow in getting this stuff out. But this regulation was adopted as a, my recall is adopted as a temporary regulation. Why wasn't this language provided by LCB at that time? I have no problem with the language, but it should have been provided to us before the temporary regulation was put into effect.
I cannot speak to that. I don't know if Rob Bonamici might be able to, from the law enforcement side. What's that?
Yeah, for the record, Rob Bonamici, Chief Game Warden. On temporary regulations, it's a little different process than permanent regulations. Permanent regulations goes through the full gamut of review through LCB and so forth. The temporary does not go through that review. So when we go to make it a permanent, that review takes place.
Thank you, Rob. That answers that. I was wondering about that. What's the, now does this have to go back to LCB with this language change?
This will go back to LCB's subcommittee for regulations.
But shouldn't be any problem for...
That's what I've been told. The experience is that they haven't turned it around, and talking to Rob Bonamici's staff, who is close with this, they don't anticipate any problems with that.
Any other, any comments from the public on this? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Howell?
Mr. Chairman, I was wondering, how long does it take to post this? Isn't it almost instantaneous? Well, they do it with a computer, right? These draw results are going to be out at 5 o'clock, 48 hours later, and it's instantaneous almost.
There is an administrative and a procedural process that systems consultant has. Monty can address that if you'd like, but it's a sequential process. I mean, there's a lot of steps involved. And to go to where we've been to where we're going now, they rearranged the sequence of some of those processes. Monty, you want to touch just briefly on what those are? Because there are a number of new commissioners here.
As Bob indicated, there are steps we go through once the draw is conducted, and we have to perform a number of updates on the files and create the tag records for the successful applications, sell licenses to clients that opted to purchase only if successful. And anyway, each of these processes takes a certain amount of time. And when we looked at how quickly we could turn the results around and get to the point where we could generate the HTML to put it out on the web, we came up with a 48-hour timeline that we felt comfortable with.
I guess my question is, if I go on the website as soon as the time frame is up, the 48 hours, and I check to see if I got an elk tag, it may not be posted until, say, 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock? Or does it posted right away at 5 o'clock? after the 48 hours?
Within the 48 hours, all of the results for everyone is available on the web.
So in other words, it could be posted 24 hours?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
It's not immediately after the 48 hours?
No, it's 48 hours. We need close to 48 hours to be ready to put it out there for the big game draw. We can do it a little bit, we can do it quicker with the smaller draws, but for the big game draw where we're dealing with 250,000 applications.
So if I just wait the 48 hours and check it, then I'll have my answer?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Then, do you want to do a wording change on that? And we can change it now.
Yes.
We cannot change it on the second reading tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow's your decision.
Right.
Right,
But we can give you directions on changing it now if we want to add a word, right?
correct.
We can't change it tomorrow. We can change it now if we want. Do you want to,
No, you can change it tomorrow at the public hearing. If there are other comments that come in and the commission is of a mind to accept those comments, whatever they may be, you can change it up to the time that you adopt it at the hearing tomorrow.
we can change it tomorrow till we adopt it?
That's correct.
Is that what you want to do? Wait till tomorrow? Commissioner Rain?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I'd just like for everybody to look at that wording change that's suggested by Mr. Macbeth. As he said there on the second line of that, computerized lists of draw results for tags and permits within 48 hours after the draw, inserting that within. Everybody look at that, and if you see anything wrong with that, or a better suggestion, bring back tomorrow, please. Thank you.
It's information.
Another similar choice of words might be not later than, at that same location.
Okay, this is just information today,
Correct.
so, and it'll be an action item tomorrow. Let's go, did you get that? Well, we'll probably
I've
do that.
got
too.
within,
Let's go to
after
the next
permits
item.
and prior to 48 hours.
Within was the word, wasn't it? Within. Okay, thank you. Let's go to the next item, Commission General Regulation 369, Rob Bonamici.
Again, for the record, Rob Bonamici, Chief Game Warden. Commission General Regulation 369 was adopted as a temporary regulation by this board. And we are now back here to re-adopt it as a permanent regulation prior to the November deadline. So if there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. It basically defines edible portion, what hunters are required to retain. So it provides that as a minimum. Hunters can retain more of the meat if so desired, but this is the absolute minimum as required by law is what we're looking at here.
Okay, any questions from the commission of Rob? Commissioner Morai?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One question that I